Okay, so hello everyone. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but you're gonna have to bear with me while I get into the flow of things. And today we're making a video about someone very special, and it's a really interesting story in my opinion. We're gonna be talking about the one and only Lil Peep. Lil Peep, or Gustav, grew up in Long Island to an American mother and a Swedish father. His parents split up when he was still a child, and from what I know, his father wasn't very involved in his life. Peep, from a fairly young age, started doing drugs like weed and got tattoos and piercings at the age of 14. At around the same age, he started to make music under the name Trap Goose, but he later changed it to what we know now, Lil Peep. From what you already heard, it's pretty safe to assume that Peep didn't really fit in with people his age, and most likely wasn't a big fan of school. And if you made that assumption, you're absolutely right. Peep hated school with a passion, because as he said, it made him anxious and he couldn't bear being there because of that. Every day that he went to school, after arriving, he would stay there for a bit and then jump a fence and go hang out at the mall and skip school for the whole day. Ultimately, he would quit school and get his degree online, with his mom helping him with studies throughout the whole time because, well, she was a teacher. So in 2014, after graduating, Peep moved to California to pursue a career in music, and that's how the journey began.
I remember when you used to hold my hand. Now you acting like a ghost girl. Live forever with a smile stuck on your face. You think you know you, but I know you the most, girl.
Peep's journey to the highest point of his career wasn't easy. When he moved to California, all he had was a MacBook and an $800 microphone. He was staying with his friend at the beginning, and he was also homeless for a good portion of his first months in California. He didn't even have money for food. Most of the time, he survived off of what his mom sent him to eat through the mail. But besides the way he was living, he was quickly making a name for himself on SoundCloud and in the underground music scene, since he was making music that was a lot different from anyone else at the time. Instead of hype music, he was making music in the emo genre, which he popularized, because before him, the emo genre of music wasn't what it is today. All the cringe emo music like MGK's album Genre Sad Boy that you hear today are just cheap imitations of Lil Peep and his style of music. His first project that he dropped was in 2015 and was called Part 1. It featured some amazing songs that I still listen to today. Some standout songs of the project would include The Way I See Things and High School, because of the relatable lyrics, especially in the song High School. But keep in mind, this is my opinion, so maybe you like some other songs more, but back to the topic. But in 2015, he didn't only drop that amazing project, he also dropped the song Star Shopping, a song about a relationship that seems one-sided, with Lil Peep being a musician and not having any time for his current relationship, but still trying to make it work. And as you probably know, Star Shopping is his biggest song to date, and was the song that really got his name out there. In 2016, he didn't slow down with the music and kept releasing projects. He actually released 2 big projects in 2016, and they were Crybaby and Hellboy. The Crybaby album is probably my favorite Lil Peep album. It's almost a flawless project to me. The problem I have with this album and Lil Peep songs overall is that his features are horrible. You can barely listen to them honestly most of the time because they are so bad, with the exception of Lil Tracy. But other than that, the Crybaby album is a must-listen album for most people. I especially recommend the songs Lil Jeep, 19, and Skyscrapers. Moving on to the Hellboy album, I think it's a very interesting one, because the mixing and production are so different from Crybaby that it really makes you want to pay attention to it, especially with songs like OMFG, Worlds Away, and Move On Be Strong, which I really didn't expect from Lil Peep, because it's so different from his usual music, but I really enjoyed it. Moving on, let's get back on track to Peep. In 2017, PEEP blew up a lot with his Castle Stew and Come Over When You're Sober Part 1 albums. Castle Stew was filled with classics for Lil Peep and Lil Tracy collaborations, and Come Over When You're Sober was an album Lil Peep was told to make by his label because they wanted a more pop sound out of him than he was doing before. But nonetheless, it was his biggest album to that point, and the song that really blew up from this album was Awful Things featuring Lil Tracy. And PEEP was on his way to being a very famous figure in the music industry and maybe even the fashion industry, because he was also a model that participated in fashion shows by this point. But before he could become a household name, he had to go on a huge tour for his newest album, Come Over When You're Sober Part 1. He was even filling out stadiums in Russia and putting on great performances, but everything was much more grim behind the scenes.
She said I'm cry, baby, I can't be out late. Girl, you drive me crazy. AMG Mercedes, speeding down the highway, looking at the street lights, geeking on a Friday. I could never sleep right, knowing I hurt you.
While he was rising in fame on his tour, it wasn't all that great for Lil Peep himself. The time he spent on his tour was filled with drug abuse. The drugs were provided by his corrupt manager, which gave him drugs to make him perform shows even when he didn't want to do them. And it really backfired on her, because at the end of his tour, he overdosed inside his tour bus, and no one bothered to check on him for multiple hours, so he ended up passing away. In my opinion, the ones to blame are his management, and that's exactly why his label is being sued by his mother. And I'm pretty sure it is still an ongoing case, so everything I just said is alleged and not proven to be true. Hopefully I don't get sued. But that's where Lil Peep's journey ended. And yes, I know his label released more albums after his death, but I don't want to cover his posthumous career because it isn't all that great and definitely not what Lil Peep would have wanted. So let's just get to the outro because there isn't much else to say. Okay, so I know I haven't uploaded in a while, but I hope some of you will still watch this video and maybe even learn something new from it. But if you watched this far, comment lol boat. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and see ya in the next one. Bye bye.